What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. If you're on the podcast, please do subscribe. And if you are listening to this on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And go ahead and hit the like button while you're at it. It's like walking into the room and hitting a light switch. Let's try to brighten up the place, even though this story is pretty dark. And I contemplated and debated whether I was going to even talk about it. But I really just wanted to talk about something that was said about what happened. Not so much about the taking of Tyre Nichols' life, okay? Because people could talk about that for days on end. It was definitely something that no one deserves. I don't care how horrible a person may be, and or people making speculations or talking about the motive as to why it happened. There's just no excuse for anybody. I don't care who you are, what color your skin tone is, what your ethnicity is, where you're from, how many kids you have, what family you're from, or whatever. It just should not have happened. And I'm not going into the background of all of the people that were involved. I'm just saying overall, I would never sit here and try to justify what happened. The other thing that I wanted to talk about with this situation is the fact that I don't watch the news very often. I see headlines. I may read a little bit of something, but in terms of just sitting there and watching the news, I don't. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I don't even consider myself an independent. I would say that I vote. Do I vote all the time? I don't, because I don't know any of these people, and I don't know if what I'm doing is even helping me in any way. But I know that as long as I'm here on this earth, I'm just trying to live a peaceable life and trying to enjoy the time that I have here. And honestly, I try to live my life in a way where I am in this world, but I'm not of this world. And if you know, then you know. So I'm just going to leave that there. But at any rate, with people that talk about this story and talk about it and try to come up with a reason as to why it happened, nobody should be doing that at all. But someone that says something that was just really crazy in terms of trying to relate it to this situation, I felt was absolutely insane. And so one of the only reasons why I'm even doing a commentary about this is because I've talked to a few of my clients about this. I have clients of all ethnicities. I've got Asian clients. I've got Caucasian clients. I've got African American clients. I've got a myriad Hispanic. It's just what I do. I provide services to the public, and and primarily female, and we do enjoy having conversations sometimes about things that may be frivolous, maybe about a celebrity or whatever. And then every once in a while, we may have conversations about subjects such as this tragedy. But, it struck me when I had one of my clients who is Caucasian, who actually watches Fox News, when she and I were having a discussion about this guy being on Tucker Carlson's show and talking about this. She was really in a state of like, what is he talking about? And what type of man would do something like that? And she was speaking from the perspective of a Caucasian woman, saying, I can't say that I would ever say that I have seen a Caucasian man or any other ethnicity of a male to go out there to speak negatively about the same ethnicity of women and blaming them for something like this happening. So I'm going to play this clip from the Tucker Carlson interview that this guy, Jason Whitlock, had on his show. And anyway, I'm just going to play this clip.
Behaving inappropriately, including these 5 Memphis police officers. It's an open and shut case. The camera from above captures the police doing something totally illegal. The second-degree murder charges are warranted. This is going to be a revisitation of the Walter Scott, the guy that got shot on camera by a cop in the back. He got convicted, went to prison. It's an open and shut case. This is too. I don't get what people are protesting about. These are 5 black officers. The victim is black. The police chief is black. The police have been fired and charged, and they will be convicted, I would assume, by a predominantly black jury in a city that's 65% black. So the system is going to work here. What the other system that's working is the corporate media's insistence on promoting racial division at the behest, in my view, of the military-industrial complex. They want us all looking at this and not looking at what they're doing in Ukraine as they drag America and the world into World War III. This is a distraction, in my opinion. CNN hyped this video like they were hyping the Super Bowl. And there's really only 60 seconds of relevant content. You show the police misconduct from overhead as they brutalize this man and make it clear this is an open and shut case and the guys are going to be convicted, and we move on. They treated this like a Super Bowl, enraging people, promoting the violence, and this is the most important story in the history of the planet. It's not. What's going on in Ukraine and our military involvement in Ukraine, that's the most important story going on in the world.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there for a moment. Now, I'm not disagreeing with what he said right there because that's actually a part of my commentary. I don't understand. Look, the news, they're going to do what they're going to do. It's about ratings. It's about definitely propaganda. It's programming your mind, programming you to think a certain type of way. Absolutely, they do that. It's not just CNN, but I'm just saying that's what they do. I have not watched the video. I don't ever intend on watching that video. And I don't understand why they would even be allowed to show that video to the public. Now, rightfully so, their family, the family of this young man who lost his life, they absolutely should be able to see the evidence. But for them to showcase that to the public, I believe it's traumatic. I believe those who voluntarily watched it, because even though that they broadcast it, we had the right to choose not to watch it. And so to watch that and allow your mind and your spirit to be traumatized by seeing someone literally lose their life on camera, I mean, I just don't understand it. I didn't even watch the George Floyd video. I saw clips of it because of it was just being shown so much, but I didn't sit there and intentionally watch that video. And with this one, when I even saw the news headline about how they were trying to call for peace and calm ahead of the release of the video, my question was, why would they even release the video to the public? And I don't believe them not releasing it to the public is them trying to hide something, because the family could have definitely, the family's attorney could have definitely had the right to see it without the whole entire world having to see that, because it's extremely traumatic. I don't believe that anyone who had the wherewithal to say, you know what, even though that they're releasing this, I'm choosing to not see it, they should have agreed to watch it. They should have said, you know what, I don't want that in my psyche. I don't want that in my spirit. I'm not going to watch that. But the news, yeah, they do showcase things like this on a very regular basis. And it is to get people's feelings and emotions up. And there are many outlets on YouTube where people do content like this all the time. And I used to watch some of the videos, not so much the videos of what they would show on the channel, but I used to watch some of the videos because, of course, the headline would be grabbing. I wouldn't even call it clickbait, but it's definitely emotion bait, where they title the video in a way to really get you triggered and you're angry and you want to click the video because you want to see the story and see what's going on. I don't even watch content like that anymore, because all you're going to do is get upset and angry about it after seeing it. So yeah, of course I'm going to get angry if there's a headline, a YouTube video where it's like a news YouTube channel where all they do is promote content like this and they're profiting off of it, just like CNN and Fox and MSNBC and all of the other ones. They're profiting off of it because they've got over 500,000 or more subscribers, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. And all they do is, like, for example, maybe a story about young 8-year-old black girl arrested and handcuffed at elementary school after blowing bubbles out of her straw or something like that. And so you're going to go and you're going to watch that, and you're already angry when you see that title, because you know that it's not cool for an 8-year-old black girl to be handcuffed, arrested, and taken away in a squad car at an elementary school when we know that this little girl didn't do anything wrong. We're not talking about the 6-year-old who had the weapon and fired it off and injured the teacher. I'm talking about other things. So I don't disagree with him. He's not lying when it comes to that type of stuff. But let's continue.
But they don't want you focused on that.
That is such a good point. And you've been in the news business all your life, 35 years or something. I felt guilty putting that video on the screen, not because I was on anyone's side. I felt obviously bad about it. It was horrible. But because you don't want to put ugly things on TV and inflame passions. You want people to be reasonable and think things through and reach wise decisions. Why would news organizations, they really want to make people enraged. Clearly.
They don't want us focused on reality. Hey, if they want us to devote an hour of coverage to this and weekend coverage of this, and they want to take us to a good place, I would examine the racial element of this, because there is a racial element. And this is a story about young black men and their inability to treat each other in a humane way. Everybody involved in this on the street level was either 24 to 32 years old. Everybody. It was a group of young black men, 5-on-1. Looked like gang violence to me. It looked like what young black men do when they're supervised by a single black woman. And that's what they got going on in the Memphis Police Department. They've elected or put some black woman in charge of the police force. And we're getting the same kind of chaos and disunity and violence that we see in a lot of these cities that are run by single mothers. If we want to discuss the breakdown of family that leads to disrespect for authority, that causes you to resist the police and run from the police and not comply with the police because you resist authority at all time, because there was no male authority in your home, let's have that discussion. But that's not where they want to take us. They want to take us down the path of saying, you know what, this is Tucker Carlson's fault. This is this is Donald Trump's fault. It's not. It's the breakdown of family and the buying in to all these left-wing things that have nothing to do with promoting family.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. But what he said was absolutely disgusting, distasteful, and downright egregious, because let's just be honest. I'm not one of those people that even has commentary like this on my platforms, because there's enough people talking about that, and I just don't even go there. But when it comes to, if we want to be real, and he wants to be on a show like Tucker Carlson, which he pretty much said, I'm going to let this dude talk. I'm going to let him say everything and just say, yeah, right. Because he's not even going to go there with that. For him to blame what happened as a result of single black mothers and the breakdown of family, the accountability needs to be with those men who created these children and chose to walk away. I've never been a single mother, but I am a woman and I am a mother. I also can, even though I've never been a single mother, I can have sympathy and empathy, and also recognize, just because of what I know to be the truth, and I know that the majority of the breakdown of family, it is rooted in spiritual, and people not taking accountability, and people pointing the fingers and blaming others. And so there's a culture right now of men that are blaming women for things being the way that they're being. And, people may not believe in God. They may not believe in the Bible. But even if you are a Muslim and you go to the Quran, which I'm not, it talks about men being the leaders. I'm not for the Muslim religion at all. I'm not a Muslim. But when you go to most belief systems and most religions, it talks about the men being the head of the household. And if you have a society and culture of men like this guy, Jason Whitlock, who wants to sit there and blame what happened as a result of single Black mothers and single parent households. Wouldn't the fault be with the men who chose not to be there? I'm sorry. I just don't buy that, but I know a lot of people want to run with that narrative because it's a popular one. It's a one that takes the responsibility off of the man and wants to blame the woman for the way things are. And also, it goes back to responsibility, not being reckless with your ding dong and sleeping around and creating children that you were not ready for. I'm not even saying, okay, we'll have children in a marriage, because you may be in a marriage where it's not conducive to children. And I'm not talking about it being a bad marriage, but you both are busy. The man is working all the time. The wife is working all the time. And so having a baby just for the sake of having it, even in that instance, it's not a good thing, because both parents need to be able to be there to rear the child. But when it comes to a man child, a male, a boy, a woman cannot raise a man. It's just not something that can be done. They can try their best to do it, and to do it in a safe atmosphere as much as they possibly can. They can, I'm just like, the fact that he is saying something like this and saying it on a platform like Fox News. Like I was saying, I was having a conversation with one of my clients who watches Fox News and saw that. She was appalled by it. And her, as a Caucasian woman, she said, I can't think of any other race of male that would say something like that about women who are single and have children, and blaming them for the reason why society is the way it is. But it happens a whole lot in the African American society, or the community as they call it. I don't think it's a community, because community is something that comes together. But with what's going on right now, it's a lot of division. So it's definitely not a community. A community is united. It's not divided. And there's a whole lot of division there. And when you have the men like the Jason Whitlocks who are out here putting this narrative out there that it's because of single Black mothers as to why stuff like this exists, that absolutely is a lie. And I just don't believe that God is pleased in any way. I'm saying that I believe that. I believe that there is so much crap going on in society, absolutely. But a lot of it is because a lot of men have failed. They have walked away, they have stepped away, they have not done their due diligence, and then they are living in this victimhood, or they are living in this state of pointing the fingers and giving blame, instead of stepping up, taking accountability, taking responsibility, and saying, you know what, we have failed as men. Because how can we expect a woman to raise a man, and we're not there, and then things like this happen? How can we say that it's their fault when we were not around to possibly prevent it from happening? Listen, and the other thing when it comes to accountability and responsibility, I'm sorry, even if these guys were raised in single parent households, as he tries to blanket this whole situation as a result of that, what happens to personal accountability as you become an adult? And that's why a lot of things exist today where we are in this perpetual victimhood or blaming, or it's because of how I was brought up as to why I am this way, versus when I was a child, I thought as a child, but now that I'm an adult, I put away childish things. It's time for me to grow up. Yeah, my childhood may have sucked. The house that I grew up in and the things that I was exposed to, it may have been traumatic. But now that I'm an adult and I can make my own path and make my own way, I'm going to walk a new path versus living in victimhood and blaming what I did not get as a child as to why I'm making the decisions that I'm making today as an adult. We have to get to the point where we can't continue blaming stuff in the past for why people make the decisions that they make in the now or in the future. Because if we're honest, even if we grew up in a two-parent household such as I did, my mother and father, I grew up with both of them. I didn't have the best life growing up. But you know what? When I became an adult and I was able to make my own decisions, was anything given to me? Absolutely not. But when I was making my own decisions, I made decisions that were going to be, for the most part, beneficial for my life. Was everything perfect? No. Did I make mistakes? Yes. Did I make some bad choices? Yeah. There were times I may have gotten credit cards that I shouldn't have gotten, and different things like that. As you go along and you grow up, you're in your early 20s and then you get to your 30s and your 40s. It's a part of growing. But beating somebody down, kicking them, torturing them, so to speak, to the point where they lose their lives, you cannot blame that on single parent households. And if you want to blame the fact that they did not have all of the tools they needed to grow up in society to prevent that from possibly happening, you can't blame the mother for that. How about call out the men who weren't there versus calling out single parent women who brought these children up versus the men who were not there to have a hand in raising these children up? It's absolutely insanity. And I hear people make commentary like this. I don't listen to them on purpose. Things I hear in passing, because I may hear other people talking about things and I have my thoughts, views, and opinions on what is being shared. But it's happening a lot. And I pray a lot. And I'm like, God, there has to be a point where there's going to be some sort of correction happening at some point, because the world can't continue going on like this. This is like a time bomb that has been lit, that is getting ready to explode, because the fact that you have this man on a platform like Tucker Carlson's, and then he has his own large platform as a commentator, this is just wrong. And I need life to check him, because a person like him has a very, very narcissistic personality and ego. People can't check him. Life has to check him. So I'm hoping and praying that life will check this dude, because he is really lost in delusion right now. Again, I've never been a single mother, but I am a woman, and I can see with my own eyes to see that a lot of the breakdown in family, it's not the fault of the woman. Am I saying that women don't make bad decisions? I'm absolutely not saying that. But it takes two people to create a child. And the fact that there are large percentages of single Black mothers, what the hell does that say about men? Like, were they all like the Virgin Mary and just got the Immaculate Conception and they continued to do it? No, there was a man that was there that impregnated that woman. And yeah, a woman having a bunch of kids with different men may not be the best decision. I wouldn't recommend it. I didn't live that life. But a woman can only get pregnant every 9 months. She may have multiple births. I mean, multiple children in one birth. It's possible. But a woman can get pregnant every 9 months. A man can get a woman pregnant every single day in a 9-month period. Think about that. So who should really be getting the blame here? If you want to place blame, let's just be real about it. He is living in delusion right now. And I just had to speak on that, because I said, you know what? I don't normally talk about subjects like this, but for him to say that this situation is a result of baby mama culture, whoa, you really have some screws loose, and I hope life checks him at some point real soon. So guys, let me know your thoughts about this respectfully in the comment section. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And until the next time, this is Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest.